I was only 7 when they took me. It was a quiet morning, the sun barely rising, when Grandma walked into our compound. She was with 2 other little girls like me. Without a word, she called out my mother's name.
Bintandi! Bintandi! Bintandi!
I remembered feeling excited. I had no idea what was happening. I thought maybe we were visiting a neighbor or going to some kind of social event. After walking a few meters in the bush, we stopped and Grandma began cutting some shrubs and herbs. Later, Auntie Kadi joined her there. Auntie Kadi held me tight from behind. Grandma took out a razor blade and came towards me. I didn't understand what was happening, but I will never forget the pain. They call it tradition. They call it purification, but what they did to me broke something inside me. I suffered complications, and for years, no one cared. No one wanted to hear my cries. I learned to bury it, to live with the silence. But the pain never really went away. And for so long, I thought I was alone.
Let us look at the potential harm that FGM causes. It may not affect every woman, but it affects some women. And these are facts. We're not making these things up. FGM is a practice that has been deemed as a harmful cultural practice which affects the rights of women, especially children who do not have a say in the process. The interest of the child is paramount. We have listened to the testimonies of certain doctors who talked about children being bled to death. So it's potentially affecting the right to life.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. The Gambia is a signatory to different international human rights instruments, especially those protecting the rights of women. Yet, we have seen women going through a lot of human rights violations. Can you tell us the significance of these laws and how can these laws protect the rights of women and girls and the eradication of female genital mutilation in the Gambia?
The Gambia is signatory to several international and regional instruments, and also we have national legislation that aim to protect the rights of women and girls in the Gambia. And the National Human Rights Commission, as you know, one of our key mandates is our advisory role to the state to remind it of these commitments that it has made. We had a very heated debate in this country about the repeal of the Women's Act and its amendment on the practice of FGM in the country. The National Human Rights Commission took a strong position in ensuring that this law remains, because when we talk about the promotion and protection of the rights of women and girls, we advocate that these violations do not occur.
The National Assembly, especially the Select Committee on Health, we have an oversight responsibility. We represent the people. We're going to have a very frank, serious, and heart-to-heart discussion and make them understand these are the reasons why we are requesting, why we are advocating for change. But then again, there is also a legislation which criminalizes the practice of FGM.
Thank you, Anna, for your time. I am glad to have this conversation with you. In December 2015, the Gambian National Assembly enacted a bill banning female genital mutilation or cutting. Following a declaration by former President Yahya Jammeh, 9 years later, a heated debate arose regarding the proposed repeal of the Women's Amendment Act 2015, which prohibits FGM.
Most of the people who are disagreeing with our assassin, they told me, look, we can have this law here. Even when Jammeh was here, this was in the law, but he does not implement it.
What factors do you think might have led to the call for this repeal, despite the existing legal ban?
Thank you for that, Mariama. There was a case where a conviction was secured and 3 women were convicted for participating in FGM and aiding in the process, with the imam volunteering to pay the fine, and then you had the MP who went to Parliament to put in a motion that the act should be repealed. Other people who have been silent for a while, like you mentioned, from a declaration made by the former President Yahya Jammeh, not everyone was happy when that act was passed in 2015. So I want to believe that those people who were not happy with the passing of the act in 2015 saw this as an opportunity to voice out their, disagreement with the legislation and supported those people who were, trying to get the law repealed. One could also say the, political aspect of it, in a sense that, a bill that was done by a certain political party, now you have other political parties probably have supporters who don't support the FGM law. So there's a lot of factors, but these are the key ones that one could say were the trigger of it. And something new came up, in a sense that religion was made the center factor, which was never a case in the Gambia. It was always culture.
Although the proposed repeal was rejected, we have observed, especially on social media, some individuals still insist on continuing the practice. I have a video that I would like to show you.
ay kadi mut mbe minna sain say mbe wulula ni wulutan hani kulli yoma simbe ndi so mala khasewut a jartal li le dano ta may tur bari makala.
What are the penalties for those found engaging in FGM?
Well, the penalty, if you actually do the act, or you're an accomplice, you're helping the people or the person that's doing the act, there is a sentence up to 3 years or a fine of 50,000 or both, depending on what the judge or the magistrate decides. If the FGM that was done to the person, the victim, leads to death, there is a life imprisonment. And if you know that something, the FGM has been done, you're not an accomplice, you're not part of it, but you know about it and you didn't report it, and there's evidence to show that you knew about it, for that one, you could be fined for $10,000.
What specific role does the police have in enforcing the law against FGM?
The police still have a role to play. They have a duty to investigate and then look into that matter. And if there's evidence to charge that person, it's their responsibility to charge. It's a difficult one, very sensitive, because before you're a police officer, you are an individual. And probably, you come from a society that practices FGM. Do you know that this is your duty and this is your culture? So this is something that, also, the police need to be sensitized. They need to be reminded of these things. Sometimes it's not even the culture, there are other factors. Maybe they even want to prosecute, but some other factors are there stopping them from doing it. Like, it goes back to the issue of the government supporting, because in certain societies, they could say, well, if you push for this, we may not vote for you. So there's a political aspect of it. Do you want to sacrifice people's health for you to have, a sit in parliament, or for your government to continue? These are all factors that one needs to look into and balance it off.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It's a pleasure having this discussion with you. I am a survivor and I went through female genital mutilation with complications. We have seen women who are not willing to listen, instead wanting this practice to continue. But as a doctor, I would want you to tell us the health implications that have to do with female genital mutilation.
Female genital mutilation, or female genital cutting, as some people call it, is a process where part of the female's genital is removed. In medicine, we did not see any benefit that is attached to female genital mutilation. And then as for the risk, they are numerous. There is no anesthesia that they give. They just go, and then people will force you down, and then they will cut through you. So that can cause pain for you. It can cause shock, and then it can cause excessive bleeding. And then the shock can actually result to death in some kids as well. And then you can have infection from it, either HIV infection, hepatitis, because sometimes they might use the same blade that they can circumcise different kids. I am also a survivor, so the process is like they will cut one person. They will not really have time to even wash their hands, and then they will bring another child as well. So in that process, you can get infections out of it. Because of the pain, some kids will be afraid to pass urine. In that process, they will have retention, and then they end up having a urinary tract infection, or they will have a retention that will need medical attention. And then the sad part of it is that sometimes when people have these complications, because they are scared to go take the child to the hospital to get a medical attention, they will keep the kids at home until it is too late. During childbirth, we all know that you need the perineum, that is the area in the female genitalia, for it to stretch for the child to come out. And then in that process, the woman may end up having tears here and there, or you have to cut that area again for the baby's head to come out. So those things can be very, very painful. I have a few patients that I had to remove the ceiling during their childbirth. So you can imagine you are in labor, and then it's only when the baby is about to come out that we remove that ceiling. The amount of pain that those people go through is just unimaginable. That's why we said we did not see any benefit that is attached to female genital cutting or mutilation in women.
jërëjëf Imam am na ñoo xamante ne dañ jël yëfu jongal jigéen bi ñu bokkaale ko yëfi diine ñu naan xale bu jigéen bi su demut dafa setut wala daf dee am yenn sent yoo xamante ne loolu la jigéen dee am soo ko practice purify yu loo o setuloo.
waaye FGM bi mbir la boo xam ne bi moo ñëw booba islam ñëwut christianity ñëw ku jànga history xam na ne ki nga xam ne moom mooy father of history ñu ko wax Herodotus Greek historian bi mu ne moom demoon na ci capitale yi ancient Egypt Memphis mu ne demoon na foofu mu fekka su xale yi jigéen yi amee 14 years ak su xale yi góor yi amee 16 years ñuy leen a yóbbu leen li nga xam ne moom moo tudda clitoris ci angal cat bi nga xam ne dafa niru ak juntuwaay góor bi cat boobu dañ ko dee dox so Herodotus bi moo wax loolu is 2500 years before Christianity loolu booba Christianity ñëwagul te Christianity moo jiitu Islam by 600 years yonent bi Seydina Muhammad bim fekkee ajaa bi nga xam ne kooku mooy ngan simba ci Médine te moom ñoom Makka ñoom duñ ko déet mu laaj Umu Atiya mu ne ko naka la mu wax ko mu ne ko déet mu ne ko léegi li nga def dangaa dog ci kaw rek bul dugal sa paaka bi bu mu dugal ci suuf di ngeen understand lana tax mënuta wax ñooñu ne stop leen waaw buguta fecci ko la rek te ñoom ñu receive ko ñu def ko kilifa mu ne leen léegi ni ngeen a def mooy soo leen koo dog ngeen dog ci kaw rek loolu mooy hadis yi Umu Atiya bi nga xam ne conservatives yi loolu lañ dee use as evidence ku wax ne soo ko defut setuloo yaa ngi wax bu garaw Seydina Muhammad ñeneenti doomu jigéen la am kenn ci ñeneenti ñi demuñ nandaluñ leen juróom ñeneenti soxnaam yi kenn demut foofu nandaluñ kenn foofu musuta wax kenn ne ñu nandal ci biir dëkk bi musuta forcé kenn foofu pour mu nandal ñiñ fi bàyyi tey ci Saudi Arabia ak Kuwait ak Qatar ak Bahrain ak Imarat seen jabar yi demut so loolu laa bëgg Gambian si xam ko
o ñaaka dundiro te nte fangola dindingol yasatole nganna dindim fula dundi wol dindingol batatale folo nga min dundi o abalo koytale a yelo bota bala fula nyango fana wo fana ketala atiri ya jannati wo fana batata bakele saba nyango wo kabira be wulula ya la fale dundiro amambetea le frek nin tol nga falin kay abetata ntenga man nga toro soto jele kendege.
Today I am before you not as a survivor but as a fighter. FGM is not our fate. It does not have to be your fate. I was once like you, scared, confused, unsure of what was happening, unsure of what my future would be. But you have the power to choose a different path. You have the strength to say no to what harms you. You deserve to live without fear. You deserve to grow strong, healthy, and whole. You deserve to live in a world where your body is your own, where your future is in your hands. FGM does not define you. Together, we can put an end to this harmful practice here in the Gambia. Together, we can protect our daughters, our sisters, and our future.